First Abelard, yeah, it's hard to find, and there's not that many. There are some IBs that have it, and there are some younger ones, but the younger ones are not generally that impressive in my view. Um, but there are Abelard casks kicking about. We were lucky; we bought these from a private cask owner. A lot of the best stuff we find is from private cask owners, and we have been reasonably lucky in that we've got quite good, between me and my business partner Ian, and you our general sort of involvement in the whiskey world, we managed to shake loose a few good casks over the years. Obviously, our Springbanks are kind of the most obvious uh, example of that. But the Abelards were also from a private cask owner, which means they're quite unique. So these are not casks that you're going to find at any other indie bottler. You won't find sibling casks of these at any other indie bottler, for example. And Abelard is pretty interesting because it doesn't behave, in my view, like other Speyside malt whiskies. This is quite different from the Capradonic. I think that it's quite different from things like the Burnside we've just bottled. People think of old Speyside whiskies like this, and they might think of it as just directly being very honeyed, very green fruit, very sort of sweet. And I really like this combination of these two casks. So this is one of the, I think it's the only one in the lineup which is a sort of had decadent drinks treatment, where we've created a small batch out of a couple of different casks. So it's a 1989 refill hogshead mixed with a 1991 refill hogshead, I believe. And we left these two casks to stew together. So we put one of the casks in on top of the other. I think we put the 91 in on top of the 89 and left them to just marry for a while. And then we bottled it at natural cask strength. So obviously cask strength is just under 50% at 47 point or 49.7. So it's a nice good cask strength. And the marrying time helped them integrate. And the 1991 was a bit softer and a bit kind of more towards the Capradonic style, sort of waxier, drier, whereas the 89 was kind of more excessively sharp and fruity and tangy. And each cask felt like it had something that the other one needed. That's usually the reason we do these mixes, these little multi-vintage mixes, when we mix two different casks of the same distillery. It's because each cask has a great quality on its own, but also an absence that the other cask can deliver or fill. And so mixing them together, in my view, created, and this is always the case when we do these sort of little batches, is the combination of the two is greater than the sum of its parts. So you make a better whiskey than either of them individually by mixing them together and combining them. So that's the approach we frequently take with these sorts of bottlings, and this is what happened with this Abelard. And I was just really, first of all, I was really chuffed that we managed to source an Abelard of good age, and I really liked the profile. I think it's got a fruit profile and a kind of lightness about it, and a level of complexity that is really interesting, really rewarding. I think it's quite different from a lot of other, as I said, other contemporary Speysiders of that age. And I think it's a very entertaining whiskey. It's a whiskey that you could spend a lot of time on the nose, a lot of time sipping away at, and I think it often reveals different facets of its character. I think it's a whiskey you can return to many times, and you'll often find something different. Also, a kind of a sharpness and almost a level of, I would almost say acidity in there sometimes as well. There's a freshness about it, which I think is uncommon for a 33-year-old malt whiskey. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what people think of this, because I am quite fond of this bottling. And one day I hope to do a tasting which is just like a selection of all maybe not all, we've done quite a lot of them now, but just do a tasting focused on the small batch bottlings we did, where we mixed things together and made potions. I'm always looking for whiskies um, that are very clear examples of their more traditionally sherried makes. Like we've done this with Dalmore. What else? Jura. We're about to do a Jura, which is like completely bone dry, naked 30-year-old Jura, which is gorgeous. Yeah, I love finding these sorts of whiskies that defy popular expectation or opinion about them. That's part of the fun and part of the purpose, I think, of independent bottling.